Most charming men in a committed relationship, this is a committed relationship, they are the my wife guy. Okay, like we all know who those guys are. Just you away, what keeps you up? Stay touch with me if you can. Hello and welcome to the Common Archetypes, where we discover our powers by discovering ourselves. My name is Paola, and if you're watching this video on YouTube, please feel free to hit the like button, the subscribe button, as well as the bell notification. And if you're listening to this on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or any other podcasting platform, please feel free to give me a 5-star review. 5 stars for 2025. Okay, so the archetype of the day is going to be the Mystic and the Hermit. And for a full in-depth video on this archetype, please click on the I card above. But just a quick refresher, Mystic and the Hermit. Mystic is the feminine pole, the Hermit is the masculine pole, and they're the embodiment of acceptance and detachment. Unfortunately, our society is shallow, so if you do embody this archetype and you happen to fall in line with the standards of beauty, or you're closely aligned, you will get a lot of people who are attracted to you. If you're not, you won't. Okay, they're also the representation of the outcast. People who embody both of these archetypes tend to appear very calm, very reserved, and at times even stoic. They tend to be expressionally comatose. It's just how I would say it, like a blank state. And because of that, a lot of people are going to be attracted to you because it gives an air of mystery. It gives an air of space. You don't really know what the person is feeling. So this is how you come off. So we're going to start off with the Mystic ladies first. The archetype that tends to be attracted to your stoic, calm, reserved nature. The first one is the King archetype. The King is, just click on the I here if you want to know more about it. Quick summary. He's a leader, an entrepreneur, and a businessman. And the reason why you two get along so well is because he gives you your space. Most mystic women, not always, but most of the time, they like having their space. They like having their own sanctuary where they're doing their thing. And they pair well with this archetype of King because he is out there taking care of his business, taking care of the enterprise, taking care of whatever he needs to. And the mystic, or in this case, the woman who embodies a mystic, will be at home doing her own thing, working on her craft, working on whatever she's doing. And it's a nice little separation for both of these two people. And at the end of the day, they come together, they convene, and they talk to one another. And the cycle basically continues. I've seen that most people who have the archetype of the mystic, they thrive in relationships that offer them space, because they too also naturally offer space to your partner. So the archetype of a King will be a really good matchup for you, because that archetype also, they tend to have the image of the family, and then behind the scene it might be different. So he might require you to perform, put on a show, which is something you're against, but I guess just you can put on a show for like 30 minutes and then go back into your hiding space. It'll be fine. So the archetype of a King is actually a really good matchup with you. And another archetype who is going to allow you to have your space, have your own sanctuary, and not be in your energy too much is the archetype of the Charmer. And click on the I right here to just have a more in-depth listen to who the Charmer is. But quickly, the Charmer is a youthful, curious archetype. He's the young boy. He has a boyish nature to him. He's driven by curiosity and adventure. He is going to give you that space once in a relationship with him. He's going to go out just like the King will go out. What in his business, the Charmer can be doing the plethora of stuff. They tend to be busybodies, and they just tend to be very impulsive and find themselves in situations that are just a little bit weird. Okay, that's just how I'm gonna call it. So he is gonna go out and give you that space so that you can do whatever you need to do. I found out that even though a lot of archetypes are going to be attracted to you, and especially if you do fit the standard of beauty, I don't know what it is with men liking beautiful women who don't talk, but it's a thing, okay? I'm not sure how far that goes, but I know it is a thing. So if you do fit the center of beauty, a lot of people will be attracted to you. But I just found out that these two archetypes just tend to pair up really well with your reserved, quiet, calming nature, because they're not encroaching in your space too much. The king archetype is going to require you to perform sometimes, but even then he's not going to be too forceful unless he's immature. Then that's a different story. And the charmer archetype is also going to give you that space because he's an adventurer, so he loves traveling, he loves going other places. He wouldn't mind if you two travel together or if he travels by himself. He's really okay with that, so it works well for you. However, I can't just let you hang in without telling you a little bit about how these two male archetypes you pair up with show up, okay? And I'm going to start with the charmer because he's something. And if you go back to the charmer video, you would know I said the careers where this archetype shows the most actors, entertainers, singers, and sometimes even con men. They are the embodiment of transformation. Their power is transformation. For you, that's fine. You are the embodiment of acceptance, so you're not going to be faced with his various personas or his various activities. You won't be faced by that. And most charmer men in a committed relationship, this is a committed relationship, they are the my wife guy. Okay, like, we all know who those guys are. All right. And they will borderline pedestalize their partner when they are in a relationship. But if you also know the my wife guy, you will know some of them have a tendency to be unfaithful. Now, I'm not saying everyone who has charmer archetype is unfaithful, but I am saying that adventurous nature he has, it might make him be a wanderer a little bit. However, it doesn't mean you just get to settle for a cheater. Absolutely not. I believe people who cheat are immature and they just don't know how to communicate. So if you do happen to pair up with someone who has charmer archetype, he is going to always talk about you. And you, as a representation of the mystic, might not be comfortable with being on the spotlight. Most mystic women and hermit men tend not to be comfortable with the spotlight. They push that onto their partners and they don't mind being in the back. That's fine. So you can just do that, push that onto him and tell him you're not comfortable. He's going to be receptive to that. Since you're an archetype that pairs very well with this archetype of transformation and of acting and of putting up different fronts, it's important to know that in a union or in a partnership, men, because we're talking about men here, men who have charmer archetype, they will be honest with their partners even if they're playing a con on other people. Like I said, it's a different persona type of thing. With their partners, they will be authentic, they will be honest, and they will be communicative. However, with other people, they might put up a different mask. We all put up a mask to a certain degree. They just tend to do it more than the average person. And when they do it too much, that's when it turns manipulative, but it doesn't always have to be. So one thing I would know for you, because you pair with this archetype, one piece of advice I would just give you is don't date someone who has this archetype if they don't have a job, or if you don't know clearly what their job is, because they will have a tendency to say, I'm an actor, I'm a construction worker, I'm an engineer, I'm this, I'm that. All right. And this archetype can very much take on those different hats because it is transformation. However, when they tend to not be direct, it means they're playing a con on you. It means you are not their forever partner, and they might just be playing a con on you. Some romance scammers also have this archetype because, again, it's just acting. It's a game for them, and they're trying to see how far they can go. So if you find out there's even an ounce just an ounce of dishonesty, cut this person out of your life. Yes, it is an archetype you naturally pair up with. And yes, you can have a really nice union with them. However, this is also the archetype of con men. This is also the archetypes of fakes. But usually, even though they have that duality to them with their partners, they'll be honest. You will literally be home to him and he'll be honest to you. And outside, he might lie to other people. I'm not saying he should do that, but he might lie to other people. But to you, he will never lie. He will borderline pedestalize you. When they don't see you as their actual partner, they will instead be playing a con on you. And they will give you a plethora of sob story and it's not making sense. And if you're too caught up with this archetype, you might overlook the red flags, as a lot of women do. So he is called the charmer for a reason. So that's just a point to note. He's kind of a playful archetype. And that's where the youthfulness comes from. And even the my wife thing, that is still a youthful nature. Just think about when you were a kid and you asked your parent this toy, you finally got this toy, and now you were playing with your toy the entire time. And you were like, no, it's my toy. This is my toy. This is my toy. That's where that whole my wife thing comes from. They really love you, but they also they be wondering sometimes. And basically what I'm trying to say is, I don't care what society says that men are the leaders. In this union, you are the leader and you are setting the pace for that relationship. And another thing, I almost forgot, caveat. The reason why you pair very well with this archetype of the charmer is because a lot of mystic women actually give birth to charmer men. And that is how they are able to develop. That is how they tend to navigate the world. Their mothers have given them a lot of freedom. Obviously, she was supportive and she was caring, but she also gave them freedom for him to go out on an adventure and then come back at night as if nothing happened. So that is a point to note. That is also why you two match very well. And if you do happen to be a mystic woman who is raising a charmer son, when he does something bad, I know you're the representation of acceptance, and a lot of mystic women are not confrontational by nature. That's fine. And you're also very quiet. You don't say a lot of stuff. If your child does do something bad, please reprimand him. Please do. Because I've always said this throughout the whole archetype. I think there are a lot of people who embody charmer archetype and a lot of people who embody innocent archetype. But the immature side of those archetypes, because their parents just let them run amok. And we're just going along to get along. I'm not saying punish your child, but just showing your disdain and showing that he's capable of better than whatever he's doing. This is only in the case of him doing something bad, but showing that he's capable of doing better and that you believe he's capable of doing better. That in and of itself is going to make him think twice about doing that action. So please, please do that. Okay. But yes, so that is why you pair well with this archetype. There's actually some type of a parental child bond. I don't want to go into Freud's theory. I don't believe in it, but especially after learning about the Freudian cover-up, and I will link in the description below, but there is some sort of familiarity. So a lot of men who have this archetype are really going to be attracted to you. But then again, like I said, if he's dishonest, peep game on that and just move on. There are a lot of fishes in the sea. Okay. And now your other archetype, who is the king. Okay. The king too, he is very family oriented. However, if you know the history of kings and leaders, there is something that happens when a man has a lot of power where he thinks he can just do whatever he wants. And this includes being with any woman or man of his choosing. Okay? Listen, power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. And I'm mostly giving you this advice because you tend to be very receptive to your partner. You are literally acceptance. So you won't challenge them too much. And maybe the most challenging thing you might do is just not saying nothing, which can be challenging. It can be kind of stonewally to a degree, right? But Again, in this relationship, you are not second to him, okay? I'm going to give you the exact same advice I gave to another archetype that paired with him is if he tries to undermine your work, which sometimes some king men do because there's a slight oversight there. If he tries to undermine your work, don't be afraid to let him know what you are doing in the house, how you're benefiting his life, and don't even be afraid to itemize it out for him because again, he's the businessman. It's unfortunate that you have to do this, but it is something that will make this relationship a little bit easier. I mean, the two of you are already a wonderful pair, but sometimes like they can be a little bit annoying in those regards. So don't be afraid to let him know. And I know especially for you because you tend not to be confrontational. You tend not to like want to rock the boat. It's okay for you to do that with these two archetypes because they are going to be receptive to that. Actually, they're from you, who is the quiet one, the reserved one. Once you speak, most people are going to be receptive to that because you don't say much. Most people just tend to listen to the quiet person on the one time they speak, unless it's in high school. That's different. But as adults, they tend to be receptive to that. So that's all I'm going to say. It kind of sucks that both of your archetypes are borderline cheaters, but it does not mean you have to settle for an unfaithful relationship. They can be faithful if they want to. They just choose not to. Which is why when they choose not to, don't be afraid to say something. Or in true mystic fashion way, if they choose not to, they come home the next day, all your stuff are gone. I love it when mystic women do this. It's like their partners are none the wiser. Their partner has been taking advantage of them. They just come back from a business trip. The house has been cleared. Her phone number has been changed. Nothing. You don't have access to her. But before you do that, do try to communicate with your partner because they are actually going to be, these two archetypes are going to be receptive to you. Your match. Okay. Now for the hermit side. The hermit is the masculine component of this archetype. Same, reserved, quiet, a little bit stoic, very slow to speak. And one of the archetype the hermit pairs up with is the queen archetype. Just like the mystic, the queen is the leader. She is the CEO, the boss lady, not boss babe, okay? Not a child. This is a woman. And she's very much in charge of her business and her enterprise. And the hermit, this is the man who is onto himself. He likes working on his workshop. He likes doing his own thing. And he values his space. Being in this relationship with a woman or even a person who has this queen archetype, she's going to give you that space for you to be in your workshop, do your own thing. And at night, the both of you can come together and talk about how your day has gone. Same like the mystic and the king. And unlike the king, the queen is actually very receptive to the work that happens because women are taught to be receptive and caring of other people. So you don't even have a challenge in your relationship. There's basically no real challenge, but she is going to expect you to maybe go to certain parties with her or go to certain galas to her and show up as a united front or power couple, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to give you the same advice I gave the mystic. Even though someone who has a queen archetype will require that of you, she will just require you to make an appearance. You don't have to stay there the whole time. Just make an appearance, hi, and then you can go back and hide in your cave. She's okay with that. And you're fine. Okay. The next archetype you pair up very well with. Oh, and by the way, click on the eye card here. And for another archetype you pair up very well with is the lover girl. Click on the eye card here for an in-depth analysis of the lover girl. The lover girl is the girl who loves love. She's all about love. She's willing to do anything for love. And this is a very romantic archetype. This is a very intimate archetype. This is a very connection-driven archetype. And the reason why this archetype is attracted to you is actually because opposites attract. You are acceptance and detachment. She is love and intimacy and connection. And women who have this archetype might think they've never met a guy like you before because they are used to other men fawning over them, buying them flowers, doing gifts and doing that, and you are stoic. For some people, it's a turn on. Okay, I'm not yucking your yum. For some people, it gets them going. So this archetype of lover girl is actually a really good match for you. However, unlike the queen, she will want to be close, but because of your nature and how you interact, you like your space, she wants to be close. That montage of chaser and runner, it works because for that archetype, they actually do need a partner who is going to take their time and slow down the desire phase for them to fully commit. It works for you too in the beginning, but once you are in a commitment together, or you're dating, or you're married, okay, when I'm saying these archetypes or the archetype you connect with, I am talking long-term relationship, not boyfriend and girlfriend, definitely not situationship. Anyone can get together. I am talking long-term, lifelong partner, or for you, marriage, if that's what you're looking for. This archetype, once you're committed to one another, you might be dating or you might be married, she might have a slight tendency, because this archetype, this is actually not an archetype of cheaters, okay? She's not, but she's a flirt, okay? She's a flirt, and in our society where a lot of people are not that comfortable with flirting, it can come off as cheating, but it's not. She's just a flirt. So she might have a slight tendency to flirt with other people unknowingly, because that's just how she acts. She's an archetype of connection and intimacy. And sometimes when people are curious about a new person, they can lean in, smile, and just talk, and it appears as though they're flirting when they're not. So for this archetype, if you do happen to see that and you don't like that, as most people don't, okay, it's not just you. Just tell your partner exactly what it is. Don't try to hold it in. I know you're not confrontational. I know you like keeping your peace. I know you're reserved, but in this instance, tell your partner exactly what it is, okay? Tell your partner how it's coming across. She's love, intimacy, and connection. She's going to understand where you're coming from. She's not going to call you crazy. If she does, she's immature and just, proceed with caution. But the mature lover girl is going to understand where you're coming from. She's going to keep your feelings in the back of her mind, and maybe she will not be as open to other people as she naturally would once she's in a relationship with you. And this is not saying you're changing your partner, but it's just, establishing boundaries for your relationship, because you are very reserved, very stoic, and you like to keep your energy private. Your partner, although open, is going to understand that, because again, this is an archetype that pairs very well with you. All right. And the last archetype that pairs very well with you is the Innocent. The Innocent is the feminine vessel of the youthful, girlish archetype. This is an archetype of a girl who just loves life. She's kind of waiting on her Prince Charming. It's okay. Okay. And she's the embodiment of transformation. Click on the eye here if you want to know more about that archetype. So this archetype, she's going to really enable you, her and the lover girl, really. They're both going to enable you to come out of your shell and just be more social. But when your social battery is too low, you can dismiss. And the lover girl will be fine, but the Innocent tends to be just a smidge codependent in a really nice way. I'm not even trying to insult. So this is the girl version of the my wife guy, which is the charmer. But in girl version, it tends to come off as, since women know not to say that because they'll be called pick-me's if they start talking about my husband this, my husband that. But this still comes off in situations where girls are talking together and she's talking about, oh my gosh, yes, my husband did this yesterday. Oh yes, my husband did that last week. Oh yes, my husband did that last month. It's the same thing as the my wife thing. But unlike the charmer, the Innocent is actually very loyal. So for most of your archetype, you really don't have to worry that much compared to your feminine counterpart. You are fine. But the thing with the Innocent is she values quality time and she values doing stuff together. So she more than your other two options is going to require a lot of time and a lot of affection. And sometimes when you don't give her that, she's going to feel like you don't love her. Again, all you need to do is just reassure her that you're in it for the long haul. You do care about her. And if you even need to schedule stuff, it's okay to not be impulsive. You're not an impulsive archetype. That's fine. If you do need to schedule stuff or like schedule a date, like let's say date night is every Friday night or something like that, she'll be okay with that. More than your other prospect, this is the one where there can be a bit more challenge because you value your space and she values doing stuff with her partner. But again, just vocalizing that and telling her that we are going to do this at a certain amount of time, she is going to be receptive to that. And if you do pair with this archetype, it's nice for her to have a hobby because they can get a little bit codependent, but they're really sweet, they're really nice. And just like the name Innocent, she has a rose-colored view of the world, and she might pedestalize you just a tiny bit. I don't suggest people do that, but it's a thing with the childlike archetype. Okay, it's a thing with the childlike archetype. They just tend to pedestalize their partners. That's what they do. But yes, so that is it for this video. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section below. And if you happen to embody the Mystic archetype, don't feel too bad, all right? I know both of your matches are cheaters, but if they want to, they can commit, all right? But it's just like, I mean, honestly, any archetype can cheat if they want to, all right? Let's not make it seem like these two are just like the worst. Any archetype can cheat if they want to. And your archetype is probably the least likely to ever do that. You would just leave, which I respect you for that. But again, with your partners, I know both of these archetypes, the Mystic and the Hermit, you're not confrontational. You might internalize stuff, and it might be better for you to just hop out of a situation and not vocalize what is happening. But your matches are open to you vocalizing. They want you to vocalize. I mean, what interested them to you is your stoic nature, it's your reserved nature, it's the fact that you keep your cards close to your chest, and they want to know what your cards look like. They do. So when you do vocalize, it is you like showing them a card like, hey, this is a part of me, and they are going to be receptive to that. So don't feel too bad if you have Mystic. And again, that's why I said you need to check your top 3, okay? Top 3, not just one, all right? But yes, thank you so much for listening to this. Please let me know what you thought in the comment section below, and I see you next week. Bye.